One of the unique situations that presents itself in guitar classes that may not appear in many other music classes is the requirement to instruct students of different skill levels in the same class. The teacher may be in a circumstance where students in the beginning or the intermediate class have had private guitar lessons or have done self-study on the internet. Those more experienced students are beyond the skill level of the other students in the class, and maybe even the instructor. As if asked to practice the same skills the beginning students are finding challenging, the more advanced students quickly become bored or lose interest altogether. As teachers, I know we've all been there. How does the teacher keep the more advanced students involved and motivated without overwhelming the beginning students? Well, the answer to that question is the topic of this webinar, and it's one that seems to be of interest to many guitar educators who are attending some of the training workshops presented by Consonus Music. The solution to the problem is to implement layered learning. In education circles, this is sometimes called differentiated instruction. Both terms refer to teaching skills on a variety of levels or layers. This means that as a group of students can be playing the same repertoire, but are individually learning and applying the skills at different technical levels. For example, the class could be playing the chord accompaniment to a piece with the less experienced students playing a simple strum pattern, while the more experienced students use more advanced strum patterns to play the same music. You have now kept all the students in the class, regardless of their abilities, engaged and challenged. This concept can be applied to all of the basic skills, including chord fingerings, accompaniment techniques, and note reading. The challenge for the teacher with using layered learning is finding the compatible layered learning groups of skills that correspond to the lessons in your curriculum. The next challenge is being able to deliver those layered learning skills to your more advanced students. All of this would take a lot of time and research. We've done that. And we've done it by compiling the layered learning material to accompany each lesson. The challenges have been overcome by using blended learning, a combination of online materials with live classroom instruction. Blended learning has many advantages to learning. It's increasingly being used in education today. The examples I'm about to show you are found in the blended learning classroom guitar curriculum that I designed for Consonus Music and are delivered on the Consonus Music online learning site. To let you see more closely how to apply the concept of layered learning, I want to walk you through several applications. Suppose you're teaching your class how to play the simple G and G7 chords found in Lesson 2. The G with one finger, G7 with one finger. You have several students in your class who have already been playing guitar for a while and can play the simple G and G7 chords. And to have them go over the simple fingerings of the G and the G7 chords would be too simple and unproductive. To challenge them, you can access the layered learning section of Lesson 2. There you'll find multiple fingerings of the simple G and G7 chords, only now they're not quite so simple. The more experienced students in the class can play the exercises and songs in Lesson 2 using the more challenging fingers of the chords, such as a G this way, or this way, or this way, or this way. Same for the G7, maybe this way, or this way, or this way. The page showing the more advanced fingerings of the G and G7 chords could be copied and given to the more advanced students. Or better yet, if they have access to the Consonus site, they can view the layered learning section of the lesson, including the related video on their phone, their tablet, or their computer. The layered learning section of each lesson is always available to them online. You have now kept all the students in the class engaged regardless of their skill level. Here's another example of using layered learning. The beginning students in your class are learning how to do an up strum and the first strum pattern for 4/4 that contains an up strum, this one. And they may be doing it with pick, or they may be doing it just with their thumb. They'll probably start with the thumb only. This is found in Lesson 11. You have students in the class that have already had some experience doing the up strum, and this strum is way too easy for them to do. In fact, they can do it well the first time they try it. For those more experienced students, you can go to the layered learning section of Lesson 11, where you'll find many strum patterns for 4/4 time. From this strum to this strum. Even some more advanced strums. They are listed in order of difficulty. There will be strum patterns that will be a challenge for even the more advanced students in your class. While the beginning students in the class are playing the exercise and the songs in Lesson 11 using the basic strum pattern for 4/4, the more advanced students in the class are playing the same exercises and songs using one of the other strum patterns for 4/4 that's appropriate for their skill level. For example, the more experienced students can be using strum pattern number 3 or strum pattern number 6 to play the exercise in the song. The more advanced students are being challenged and the beginners are not overwhelmed. As with all of the lessons, this page from the layered learning section of Lesson 11 could be copied and given to the more advanced students, or they could view the more advanced strum patterns from the layered learning section on their phone, their tablet, or their computer. Now let's look at a situation where you're teaching tablature for the first time to your beginning students from Lesson 5. If you have seen some of my presentations, you know that I believe that teaching students tablature can be a great way to introduce notes, not as a cop-out for note reading. Tablature should not be used as a means to avoid teaching the students to read standard notation, but rather a stepping stone to reading standard notation. Besides that, tablature is here to stay and it has a lot of benefits. In Lesson 5, tablature is introduced. The exercises and song in Lesson 5 are written in tablature. The fret numbers used in the tablature are the same fret numbers of the notes on the first 2 strings in first positions. Open 1 and 3. If you have students that are already familiar with and comfortable with tablature, you could go to the layered learning section for Lesson 5. Again, regardless of the student's ability, their ability level, every student is learning a new skill. Another application of layered learning is used with the guitar ensemble pieces contained in our curriculum. Some of the ensembles are written in tablature. As with the other tablature exercises and pieces, all of the ensembles that appear in tablature can be accessed in standard notation in the layered learning section of the lesson. For example, if the students are learning 6 Spanish strings in Lesson 17, which is written in tablature, the ensemble can be found in standard notation in the layered learning section of Lesson 17. Of course, a certain amount of layered learning takes place automatically when teaching ensemble literature because some of the parts may be more challenging than others, and those more demanding parts can be assigned to the advanced students. However, if some students are very adept at reading tablature, you may want to challenge them by having them play their parts in standard notation. The standard notation parts can be copied from the layered learning section at the site and given to the more experienced students. In the improvisation lesson of the book, the concept of layered learning can be applied by featuring some of the more advanced students as soloists, while the other students play the blues accompaniment. Again, I want to emphasize that every lesson in the beginning course has a layered learning component attached to it. To make all of the layered learning material available to the students in a hard copy form would make the book way too thick and costly. But because the layered learning material is available online at the Consonus site, the content can be vast. Applying layered learning to your guitar class will greatly enhance the development of your students' progress and provide you with content to make your teaching more effective and comfortable. Now, I've been doing all the talking regarding the application of layered learning. Now, because this is a live webinar, I'd like to hear from you. I'm going to go off camera right now, and I'll be available to answer questions in the chat area. If you have any questions regarding the use of layered learning or any aspect of the Consonus curriculum, please don't hesitate to ask them. Also, I'm putting up a link that you can follow if you'd like to sign up for a free evaluation of the Consonus blended curriculum, where you can see the layered learning options in every lesson and find out more about blended learning for classroom guitar.